One more week of Mountaineer sports is in the books, and the A-Game is here to make sense of it all and ask Brooks Maynard what is next for the baseball team.
And what kind of dances can students do to change the weather? We've got that on this week's episode of the Q&A Game.
Stick around for much more coming your way today. It's the A-Game.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Braxton Critcher, Ashley Smith, and it's another episode of the A-Game.
And it was one that was jam-packed of on-campus sporting events for Appalachian State. And we begin today's show with Shelly Horner's team and softball. They played Troy over the weekend with 3 games on ESPN3 that began on Friday. The Mountaineers dropped game 1 13-3 despite the efforts made from the bats of Alicia Josie, Laura Sales, Jenny Dodd, and Bailey Morton. Game 2 started Friday through 4 innings and picked up Saturday due to weather. The Mountaineers had 2 runs on 3 hits, including home runs from both Alicia Josie and Jenny Dodd. This would again be the only run scored for the Mountaineers for the rest of the game, marking the final score at 15-2. The series finale was a thriller through all 7 innings, but the black and gold lost 9-8. Multiple Mountaineers had strong showings from the plate, and App reached base on 10 walks. The end, though, Troy put up the game away in innings number 3 and 6. The Mountaineers will be back in action for a midweek doubleheader at NC Central on Wednesday, April 11th at 1 and 3 p.m. Tough week against Troy this past weekend, but we see how they can regroup this week. Ashley?
And the baseball team also had a tough weekend against Troy for a 3-game series. The Friday victory came from the pitching of Colin Schmidt, Caleb Bowman, and Luke Watts. Connor Leonard went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs, while Riley Smith and Alex LaShock both followed with doubles of their own. Saturday and Sunday's matchup tested the offense and defense of the Mountaineers. Joel McDaniel, Connor Leonard, and Bo Myers led the way for the offense, while catcher Riley Smith had himself a day from behind the plate, throwing out a runner in the 6th inning during Saturday's game. A-Game reporter Brett Wiseman was at Beaver Field for the finale against Troy on Sunday to talk with head coach Kermit Smith and players.
The Mountaineers baseball team dropped 2 of 3 this weekend in a home series against Troy. On Friday, the team picked up a 5-2 victory, its first Sun Belt victory of the season, and head coach Kermit Smith's 500th career victory. Saturday and Sunday were not so kind to the Mountaineers, as they lost 6-2 on Saturday and 15-3 on Sunday. Head coach Kermit Smith said the team needs to improve on its pitching and defense before going into this week's matchups.
Thought offensively, I didn't think we were far off. I think it's skewed a little bit just in terms of the other team scores 19 and you score 3. But I thought, we had 8 hits through, 7 innings, and I thought we hit some balls hard throughout that. And we just left some pitches up. Some guys that have been doing a pretty good job for us. Reed Howe's had a heck of a career here, and he's going to lock it back in. And had a couple of double play balls that got away from us there, and I think it was the 4th inning. And we turned those, and maybe it's a different story.
Whenever they swung the bat, it was. They just dropped in the right places. Minus 2 plays, our defense did well, but we just, we have little things to work on.
The next home series will be this weekend against Louisiana.
Brooks Maynard is here, and we'll chat with him about what's next for the App State baseball team coming up.
And later we'll show you how the weekend shaped up for both tennis teams. That's next.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
All right, we got Brooks Maynard with us, the Appalachian sports editor with us, who knows a thing or two about baseball as we continue our coverage of the App State baseball team after a 1-2 series against Troy over the weekend. Got smacked around the ballpark a couple times on Saturday, 6-2 loss, and then another one 15-3 on Sunday. To me, defense could shape a few things up, but what's a couple things they could do to to kind of tighten the screws a little bit going into their game against Carolina this weekend?
Well, you touched on it with the defense. They had multiple errors this weekend. They had 4 on Saturday, which is the exact amount of runs they lost by. You got to look at that. But, when you lose 15-3, defense is clearly not your only issue. Their pitching needs to tighten it up a little bit.
Okay.
Will Sprinkle is the only pitcher, apart from maybe Colin Schmidt to a point, who's really bringing the heat every time they come to the mound. Outside of those two, everyone's got high ERAs, low strikeout counts. There's no one hitting over 250.
Yeah.
I've been on Kendall McGowan all year as the one guy who's hitting. He's down to 247 now. So they're still the top hitter, but he's hitting 247.
Yeah. Yeah, they had some struggles certainly this weekend, but when you look at overall roster, who's the leader of this team?
I think it's Schmid. If you look up and down, statistically, there's no one that's really leading the team. There's no one that's really, the team is struggling, but this one guy is really bringing it. They don't have that one person. But I think from a body of work standpoint, Schmid is definitely the voice who's, we've been here before, this is what we do, this is how we're going to take care of this. But as far as, this season, there's no one that you can point at who's really, they're not the problem.
Yeah. Is that what they need to find right now as a leader? Maybe this year and then going into next year is finding the leaders that can have better play?
That, when you watch them, it doesn't take long for those heads to start hanging. They lose energy quickly, and it's tough when you're losing a lot of games and you're losing them by a lot of runs. Mm-hmm. And, maybe that's something that can help them to have that one person who's going out there and consistently contributing to be able to, be that voice, say, hey, we're still in this, it's not over yet. They don't have that right now, but, we'll see as the season goes on. One
thing that you can point to for baseball, and especially this App State baseball team, is, one run or one error can turn into several errors. And they committed 4 on Friday and turned into several runs that put them in a hole that he couldn't climb out of. What do they need to do to shore things up there defensively to not commit that first error? Because a lot of times that first error turns into 1, 2, 3, 4.
There's a famous quote from Yogi Berra, 90% of the game is half mental.
Yeah.
For me, defense is real mental. Even that's one of the things that comes from making that first error, and you make more and more and more. I think as the games go on and they're continuing to make these errors, that they're coming into these games and they're thinking, man, I hope I don't make an error, as opposed to, I'm not going to make an error today because that's not what I do. So I think, those 4 errors, they weigh on your mind even as the days go on. Just because the game ends, they say forget it, sometimes it's hard to.
Yeah. One thing I did notice from the series with Troy, though, is the offense seems to be figuring some things out. They're starting to string some runs together, score some runners from second and third. In 3 weeks, where do you think this team needs to be to say, okay, now we're starting to figure things out?
The RBIs really need to come up. Their team batting average has come up, as far as stringing those hits together, but they still, these last 2 games, Saturday and Sunday, they combined for 5 runs. Mm-hmm. And what they really need to start doing is when they get those guys on base, getting those hits, because they're starting to figure out those hits. That's where you're seeing the average come up. But why they're still not scoring runs, I still don't think they've scored more than 5 runs in a game in the past few weeks. And then when your pitching and defense is allowing 8 and 9 and 10 a game, they really need to start focusing on, okay, we got runners on base, we need to get a hit into the gap now.
So now they've got that first conference win under their belt. They're 1-11 in Sun Belt Conference. I'm sure that's not quite the record they would like to have. So when the end of the year gets here, what would constitute a successful season from now that you started 1-11? What would be a successful year at the end?
I was recently talking with some of the members of the team, some of the coaches on the team, and they still think that a Sun Belt championship is not out of the question. However, for me, I think a successful season is really just getting double-digit wins in conference. They're 1-11 now. They're coming off a couple of seasons in a row where they're just not winning games, period. And I think getting to that point where you can say, maybe getting 500 in conference, saying, okay, we're competing, even if we're not up there with the upper echelon to win a championship, we know we belong. I think that's really where they need to be.
Okay, well, we'll certainly see if they can win that Sun Belt Conference championship this year. Starting off 1-11, hey, sometimes the little things make a big difference, and you never know where they might end up at the end of the year. So we'll certainly see where
Don't count them out.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us again, Brooks. We appreciate it as always, and we'll see you again next week, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Coming up on the A game, we'll switch gears and we'll turn to App State tennis as we get to hear from students on the Q&A game as well. Stay with us.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
All right, welcome back to the A game, and now we're going to change our focus to a team that was away from Boone this week in App State women's tennis.
And after this weekend, they are on their way to a winning season. The App State women's tennis team traveled to Georgia over the weekend where they faced Troy and Georgia Southern in Atlanta. On Saturday, the Mountaineers fell to Troy 6-1. App failed to get the team point in doubles while the Trojans won 5 out of 6 single matches. App picked up their first team point with the help of junior Heidi Swope winning her singles match. This was Swope's 6th win of the season. On Sunday, the Mountaineers fought hard against Georgia Southern but fell 4-2. App won the first 2 doubles matches, clinching a team point and leading Georgia Southern 1-0. Moving into singles, the Eagles bounced back, winning 4 out of 5 matches. App's second team point came with the help of freshman Teodora Sabeo winning a straight set. The Black and Gold will travel to ETSU next weekend to wrap up the season. If the team wins next Saturday, it will be their first winning season since 2013. And you know what, Braxton? It would be great to see the women's team finish strong.
You know what they say, I hate being cliche, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Exactly. Now we'll transition back to campus where the App State men's tennis team had senior day on Friday. And it was on Friday that was an exciting match for the men's tennis team, although it was a close battle, but a loss for the Apps 4-3. The Mountaineers picked up the doubles point leading Campbell 1-0, but struggled in the singles contest. Campbell took the lead, winning 4 out of the 6 singles matches. Senior Alexander Free shined on senior day, beating his opponent in only the 2nd singles match of the year for him. Senior Scott Webster also clinched a singles win, giving the Mountaineers their 3rd team point. This was Webster's 3rd straight singles win so far this year. Campbell came back to win the next 2 singles matches, making the final team score 4-3. The Mountaineers will go on the road this weekend to face Davidson on Saturday and then return home the following day on Sunday for Coastal Carolina.
This time of year on the A Game, we cover, of course, everything App State sports. We told you 2 weeks ago about the struggles that the teams had on campus having to deal with the winter weather.
Plan A might be moving the game, Plan B might be canceling, and then Plan C? How about a spring dance? Sam Foltz and Leanne Biddle spoke to students last week about that and more on campus. Check it out.
So it's been snowing, not really spring. So you know this thing called like the rain dance?
No, I don't know what the rain dance is.
You've never heard of a rain dance?
It is a dance to bring rain. So we are looking for the best spring dance to bring spring to Boone.
Okay.
So can you show us your best spring dance?
I don't know, Luca, can you?
Give us anything you got.
This comes from the Napoleon Dynamite dance.
Spring dance.
This way.
That's the band. I can like do the worm.
You can do the worm.
You ever heard the song It's Raining Men?
Huh?
It's raining men. Ooh!
That's like all I know.
I got you.
Take it away. Oh. Perfect. So have you seen the yodeling boy on Twitter or social media?
I have, yes.
Can you give us your best yodel?
I got you. Yodelay.
Yeah.
I sing in a perfect monotone, so it's just gonna be.
Oh, give us that. Give us that. Sing in a perfect monotone.
Yodelay hee-hoo.
Now I'm not that good.
I haven't done that in so long. I don't even know if I can do that.
Wait, in so long, did you yodel before?
I mean, once or twice, but like, yodelay hee hee.
There you go.
So cross your fingers for the spring dance to try and get that out of the system and then have a good rest of the season for the spring season here at Mountaineer Sports.
Well, one of those teams struggling with the weather is the softball team. But remember, last episode we had head coach Shelly Horner as our Mountaineer Spotlight, but this week's Player of the Week is one of her own players. Jenny Dodd is a junior catcher from Mocksville, and boy, has she shined so far this year.
Over the weekend against Troy, Dodd had a double and 2 home runs. For the season, she is batting an outstanding batting average of .410, and she is majoring in healthcare management here at App State.
Dodd says she enjoys exercising, reading, and being outdoors, and she chose App State because she loves Boone and the college town.
So congrats to Jenny for her achievements so far this season, and good luck to the rest of the softball team as they continue to have their incredible season.
Now, Patrick Reed won the Masters on Sunday, but we've got coverage of the App State golf team on our Facebook page.
Find that and more there, but also follow us on Twitter for constant updates on everything Mountaineer Sports.
That's all for us this week. For our producers Sam Moore, Braxton Critcher, and the entire A-Game crew, have a great week.